the Baal Shem. One soul with Joseph the Righteous, Joseph at Tzaddik and Shem. Here we are in the portion of the Vayigash. We're inviting in all of our teachers. There's the anniversary of elevation today for Rav Yechiel Shraga of Shinva, who is the son of Rav Chaim of Tzanz. And also tomorrow, well, there's a whole bunch of anniversary of elevation tomorrow. I'm not going to go into all of them, but one of them is Rav Mordechai Yosef Leiner of Izbitza. He is known as the Mea Shiloach, and Michael has quoted him on numerous occasions. So we have his anniversary of elevation today. Tomorrow, so let's invite him in also. As we connect to these verses, let's have a consciousness of connecting to the energy of Ahavat Chinam, unconditional love, to removing all the conflict and negativity in the world. Let's also channel the energy of healing for everyone we know who needs healing. Just have them in mind and send them energy. Of course, we list their names in our WhatsApp groups for extra attention. Whether that's energy, whether that's healing with physical nature and emotional nature, spiritual nature, financial nature, let's also channel the energy of treating everyone with human decency. And also this week, it's the portion of Vayigash. And just some context before we dive into the study. The context is that Joseph and his brother Judah have a confrontation, and it's really, Vayigash literally means that they were confronting. Judah confronts Joseph, and by confronting Joseph, he's literally putting his life into his own hands. He doesn't know it's Joseph, its brother, who's the viceroy of Egypt. And so the reason he's doing that is to protect his brother Benjamin, who is Joseph's only full brother. They're brothers from the same mother, Rachel. And so on a very literal level, this is Joseph making sure that his brother is going to be taken care of, and that Judah will protect him where he didn't protect Joseph years ago when Joseph was sold into slavery. But on another level, it's an opportunity for Judah to do his tikkun, to do his correction. When we, in any place in our life where we have acted in a way that we shouldn't have, we have the opportunity to correct for that. I mean, how do I go back in time, though, and correct for something that I did that was not really me showing up as the best version of myself? How do I go back and do that? Consider that time is a function of physicality. It's an illusion. So we can really connect, we can really correct at any time. But what our teachers tell us is specifically that if you want to correct, if you want to do tshuva for something that happened in your life, there's like 4 stages. One is acknowledging that we did something wrong. The second one is resolving ourselves to do it differently and the next time it comes around. The third one is actually apologizing. Now, you can't always do that with the person, so sometimes it might just be talking to their soul. And the fourth stage is when you're presented with the same fact pattern or similar enough that you act differently. So Judah literally is confronted with, is he going to protect Benjamin? And he does. So he does correct for that. And so that's part of the energy of this week. It's like we shouldn't shy away from confrontation, because sometimes confrontation is important. Whether they're going to accept it or not really isn't the point. It's about us and the work that we need to do. So that's a lot of the energy that's going on for us this week. Anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? Okay, Ellen, thank you. So I'm going to read verse 10, and then we're going to dive into the relevance next, because there's a lot. I want us to connect to the energy of the Zohar first through the Aramaic letters. And so we all want to have a consciousness of connecting to the realm of fulfillment, the upper realm, as we connect to this. Verse 10, Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yehuda, Hava Yatvei Le'elia, Chad V'la'an Ve'oraita. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yehuda, Hai Taninan Dachar Bar Ra, V'kuchabrichu Alma. Avar Alma Tata'a, Kagavna de Alma Ila'a, V'cholata Lakavelda, V'iyu Yikare Le'ela V'tata. Okay, before we read the English on that, let's go into the relevance, Ellen.
The relevance of this passage. Every action in this physical dimension has a corresponding influence in the upper worlds.
Okay, so I know it looks like when we do stuff, it's kind of limited and isolated, and it's just what we decide to do. It looks like we do things, there's no consequences, there's no repercussions. I pick up a stone, I throw it in the pond, it creates some waves, and it's not a big deal. Then the waves are gone. That's not actually what happens. Every action, big or small, in the physical dimension has a corresponding influence in the upper realm. So this is a reason why we need to be very careful about what we do and what we say, and ultimately what we think, which is what's going on the seed level. This is why we want to make sure our consciousness is in the right place before we do anything. I mean, maybe I should worry, I'm doing something, I don't know if it's the right or wrong thing. You know what? What our teachers tell us is if your consciousness is in the right place, that's all that matters. And so this is why a self-check about what is really my agenda here is a really important question to ask. Okay, keep going.
In truth, both worlds are actually one reality. They are like reflections in a mirror.
Really? They're one reality? I thought that was a whole upper realm thing. Like it's beyond my reach. It's not beyond our reach. We're in constant contact. It's one reality. It doesn't look that way. It doesn't look that way. I've quoted this several times this week in different settings, but here's a plug for Elisheva Bals's weekly Energy Boost podcast that she does each week. And this past week, she does it with David Guillaume. And this past Sunday, when I was watching it, David Guillaume made a statement, which is just really remarkable. He said that we have this aspect of time in this world. We do things and we don't always see the outcome. We don't see the result. But if I'm doing positive things, why am I not seeing a positive result? He said that your soul doesn't want you to see immediately the positive result of the positive things that you do. Because your soul knows that if you could see the positivity of what you're doing, you'd stop doing it. So one of the benefits of this world is we don't always see the consequences of what we do. When we do negative things, we don't see the consequences, and we have an opportunity to correct for it. There's a delay. But the positive thing, even the positive things we do, we don't necessarily see the consequences because our soul doesn't want us to see the consequences because our soul wants to continue to do the work it came here to do. And it knows the ego will just rest on that. Yes, Ron.
I listened to that podcast too, and another interesting part that David said was that the opponent uses time to sort of like throw us off and mess us up, right? Like where it's like, okay, I put in all this time and I put in all this effort and nothing's happening. I'm going to give up. Right. Like maybe like right before something is supposed to manifest or something like that. Right. So right. Like the opponent uses that tool to throw us off.
Right. It's like, why am I bothering to study Zohar? I don't see what's going on. One of the things our teachers have told us is that if you had a monitor hooked up to your Zohar and you could see the positivity that you were generating in the world by just studying the Zohar, you would be afraid to put the book down. That it's part of the mercy embedded in our system of reality that we don't see it. And the other thing, Ron, that you remind me of that David Guillaume said was, we are generating positivity. but it's showing up in other areas of our life. That's the other game that's going on. Okay, let's continue. Thanks for sharing that.
This passage stimulates the high spiritual realms in which the light is aroused and then reflected back to us in the physical world to refine and perfect our souls.
Okay, so what is this dynamic that is beyond our five senses, that is in the realm of what we refer to as the upper realm, or the 99% reality? And by 99% reality, we mean 99% of reality. This is not an arbitrary number. We encounter at best 1% of reality. And that's why we don't see the impact of what we do, and we don't see the corresponding action in the upper realm that happens from what we do here. What this passage is giving us specifically is insight into that dynamic, so that the things that we do can be done in a more purposeful and meaningful way. So like, as I said at the outset, like when I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or not, but if I make sure I do a self-check and I know my consciousness is in the right place, and what would that right place consciousness be? It would be my desire to receive is for the sake of sharing. It's not, I'm not looking to just better myself. I'm not just looking for blessings for myself. I'm using that desire to receive for the sake of sharing positivity with the world and the people around me. If I have that desire, then it's not my self-centeredness that is the agenda. So if I can come from that place genuinely, then I don't have to worry what I do. And whether it works out or not, it doesn't even matter. I think I shared that Joseph in particular, again, this is one of the portions that deals specifically with Joseph and his role. When Joseph leaves prison and goes to work for Pharaoh, like he sees that, Pharaoh sees that Joseph is like connected to the Creator, because everything he does comes up positively. There's a story that if Pharaoh asked him to get him a cup of coffee, and Joseph went to get the coffee, but by the time he came back to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's like, "Did you bring my cup of tea?" And he's holding coffee. That the universe would transform that cup from coffee into tea. Like, it didn't matter. He could have done the wrong thing, Joseph, but the universe was muting you. The universe would correct for it. That's how connected Joseph was with the upper realm. Could we do that? It's probably happening for us all the time. We don't even realize it. We show up with a certain consciousness, and the universe is helping get us to the right place. Okay, keep going.
Perfection refers to the subjugation of the ego.
It's not about being the nicest person in the world. As a matter of fact, being the nicest person might actually be your flaw. You may be way too connected to mercy and not enough connected to taking care of yourself, to taking care of your family, to taking care of your obligations. You're just helping everybody. You're just so scattered all over the place. That's not necessarily what we're supposed to be doing. The ego, the Satan, can either come from a place of mercy or come from a place of judgment. And the Haftorah reading that we did last Saturday, specifically, it's the Satan shows up on the right, which means that Satan can tell us, you need to be nicer. No, that's actually not what we're supposed to be doing. We don't know. If that's part of the work that we have to do, is to figure out, where do I need to lean in and be more merciful, and where do I need to draw boundaries? From the left column.
Can I quit? So how
Yes.
so how do you know, David, when you need to do that? You know what I'm saying? Because if you hear something that says, I need to be nicer, and you're feeling like this, and you're saying, I need to be nicer, we tend to want to believe that, okay, let me be
Okay, right. Maybe I should be nicer.
Right. How do you know?
Yes. So like we deal with this every day, right?
Well,
So one of the ways we know is by connecting to the Zohar, or any Zohar for that matter. Like, I need to be able to see the deeper reality. So like, I need to understand, like, what does that person need? It's not about me. So the first thing is like, I want to get my agenda's got to be out of the picture here. That person may need tough love. I mean, tough love is a perfect example of not right column mercy, but left column boundaries, strength, restriction. It's not so clear. Sometimes people might need more mercy, and the same person later on might need more restriction. It's a balance. It's a balance. It's not easy. It's not easy. But if we approach it with a consciousness of, I want to do the right thing. I want to give them the opportunity to earn their light. If I give them too much light, they're not earning it. They'll never develop a sense of self, a sense of accomplishment. They'll never develop them because everything's falling into their lap. I'm doing too much for them.
bread of shame.
Bread of shame. But that's their bread of shame, not mine, right? The
Right.
fact that they're taking it, they should be saying, hey, you know what? I want to do this on my own. We know people like that. But then again, there are people like, I want to do this on my own, and to it, they're hurting themselves.
Yeah.
So even that can be, it's got to be balanced. And that's why it's a 3-column system. Right column mercy, left column judgment, central column, the balance between. And that's where we want to be. So, but it's important to have like a self, I think the most important thing that we can do is just ask the question of myself, in this situation, it's not about me. Do I need to be showing up with more mercy or more restriction? And, it's like any muscle, it grows over time. The more we use it, the more we approach things from that perspective, we get better at it. But that's like almost like a 1% thing. But that consciousness part and using the tools that we have to assist us, like the Zohar, like Windows in Time, these things assist us in elevating, in gaining more perspective and a better sensitivity spiritually to what's required in every situation. And once you figure one out, rest assured, there's another tougher one coming down the pipe. That's the way it goes, because we're trying, the system, the universe, the light, the creator is assisting us in elevating. So the better it's a very good question, because there's no easy answer. But the universe will be assisting us how? By throwing faster pitches. That's what happens. You leave the minor leagues, you go to the majors, the pitching is quicker. Okay, Ellen.
Okay, perfection refers to the subjugation of the ego and the transformation of the selfish desire to receive into a desire to receive for the sake of sharing.
This is the power. This is the balance right here. Desire to receive for the self versus desire to receive for the sake of sharing. And again, we probably said this before, but they both start with desire to receive. It's just, what am I doing with that desire to receive? And by the way, you have to have a conscious understand you have a desire to receive. Not only do you have a desire to receive, but it's the most dominant desire you have. It's everywhere. I want to make a cup of coffee. I want to have lunch. I want to be with friends. I don't want to experience this lack. I want to. It's everything. It's everywhere. Hence, this consciousness is called Kabbalah, receiving. We have a desire to receive. This is all about transforming your desire to receive from a desire to receive of the self into a desire to receive of the sake of sharing. You're still benefiting from it. It's not what it's about. It's a matter of whether I have a very narrow desire or a very broad desire. Because the reality is we're all connected. The greater my desire is to receive for the sake of sharing, the better the world is. All boats rise with the rising tides. And the more we continue to transform our desire for the self to a desire to receive for the sake of sharing, the better the world is. Judah puts his life on the line. He literally puts his life on the line. He's saying, I promised my dad I would put my life ahead of Benjamin's. And that's what he does. It's the ultimate self-sacrifice. It's like, taking a bullet for somebody. Take an extreme example. We don't really have, that doesn't happen every day. Thank God.
No, not that.
No, not that. Okay, keep going.
Because sharing is the nature of the light. When we share, we take on the nature of the creator. In effect, we become God.
Okay, so we become, it says become, but I would say we become like God. So what does it mean to like someone? It means we're like them. Like we like the people that we have things in common with. Like is like. If we want to manifest blessings, we need to be like the light. What's the primary feature of the light? Desire to share. The light shares. Well, doesn't the light also have a desire to receive? No. No, this is like Kabbalah 1. No, it's as basic as it gets. No, we're the receivers. The light is by definition desire to share. So if we want more light in the world, we need to be like the light, and then we can be a channel for the light of the creator. So when we cultivate a stronger desire to share, we expand our vessel, we can be a larger channel for the world. When I am worried about myself, I'm disconnected from the light, because the light's never worried about the light's self. Never. The light is by definition perfection. It's desire to share. I mean, is it more complicated than that? Yeah, probably, but our little feeble minds can't conceive of it. That's what we're stuck with. It's really what do we know about the light? Well, most of we know about the light is we don't understand it. But the one thing we can see is it's sharing constantly. The light is constantly raining down blessings upon this physical realm. So we know about the light is what we can observe. I mean, well, what do I know about the sun? I can't look at the sun, it'll burn my eyes. But I can look at the light that's coming from the sun. And I learn a lot about, I have the spectrometer. We look at, like, we can figure out what a star is made out of just by the light that it's shining. What we observe tells us a lot about the true nature of not only reality, but of people. One of my teachers famously said to me, when someone shows up and they're acting a certain way, that's who they are. Don't try to convince yourself it's something else. That's who they are.
That reminds me of a Maya Angelou statement. She said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
That's the line. That's much better said than I said it. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Don't argue with reality. Okay. So again, if we want to channel blessings for the world, if we want to channel healing, the healing energy is there. It's in the upper realm. Any kind of lack we are experiencing, it's there. It's in potential. It's not a manifestation. Well, who's manifesting it? We are. That's what we're here for. We're here to perfect the world. We're here to manifest those blessings. Well, how do I do more of that? Well, I have to be more of a I got to get my agenda out of the way. I got to get my own ego out of the way. I have to be more focused on being a being of sharing. I got to think about the ways I need to show up differently. And of course, as we pointed out before, sometimes that sharing means restriction. Okay, keep going. When a stone
is returned to the mountain from which it was hewn, oneness is again achieved between the part and the whole. There is no distinguishing feature separating them any longer. This godlike nature is awakened within us as we connect to this passage.
We are a stone hewn from the mountain that is the creator. Wow, that sounds pretty egocentric, right? No, but we are. Each of us has a spark of the creator inside us. That's our soul. You can't distinguish between us, that spark, and the creator. It's of the creator. I don't care what is going on in your life or anyone else's. If you encounter someone, they have that spark. I don't care how negative they are. They have that spark. If they're here, they always have the potential to remove that negativity. It's like our job to see that spark in everybody we encounter. Now, that doesn't mean we spend time with them. We might have to draw boundaries around people in our lives where it's not a safe space for us. But they do have that spark. They still have the opportunity. Sometimes by drawing away from people, we're giving them a greater opportunity to lean into that spark, to become the greatest version of themselves that they can be. Sometimes we actually have to pull away to do that. So Rocky, it's another example, like, you know, sometimes with something that's tough love. It's like trying to land on the moon. You know, it's very delicate thing. Or like sometimes you watch people trying to like drive their boat into their slip, or, you know, it's very delicate. Hit the gas too hard and crunch. Like there's a lot of delicate things going on in the world. Everything is delicate. We just don't see the impact. Every single thing we do is delicate.
So
The things we see.
I'm hearing you in terms of, and like Ron said, you know, Maya Angelou's one of her most famous statements is when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah,
you know?
it's great. It's awesome. It's much more succinct than I came up with.
Yeah, and then I'm hearing you, it's like when you say, and I'm kind of going through that now, where sometimes the best thing is the tough love part where you pull away. And now I'm thinking that in pulling away and restricting, right? How does that also elevates you by following that path, right? Because you're in right column. And for me, as a Libra, you know, the hardest thing for me to do is mind my own business, right? My twin know what I'm talking about. Is, you know, we get caught up in you know, trying to make it better when we know it's done, and we still want to fix, manage, and control it because we need to see the balance and we know it's there. So for me, I think the restriction part and the growth part is not doing that. Not making it better, but stepping back and letting, if it falls apart, it falls apart, and it's for them to grow. And the growth for me is to be able to learn to mind my own business.
Letting go.
Letting go. Yeah.
Letting go. I mean, listen, I can totally relate. I'm sure we all can. There's situations we just don't want to let go, and we see it's not doing any good, and we just keep getting banged on the head. It's like, you know what? I got to let go. This is not it's a very important lesson.
I call it punch drunk.
Punch drunk. But like, it's such an important lesson to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important because we can't sometimes positively impacting a situation is drawing away. It's just like, you know, it's like the proverbial bad cocktail, right? It's a bad mix. It's just a foul tasting mix. Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Rocky. Ellen, can you read the English to verse 10?
Rabbi Yitzhak and Rabbi Yehuda were studying the Torah one night. Rabbi Yitzhak said, "We have learned that when the Holy One, blessed be He, created the universe, He made the lower world after the pattern of the supernal world and made the one correspond to the other. Every detail in the lower world has a counterpart in the upper world, and He is its glory, both above and below."
Okay, so listen, Rabbi Yitzhak and Rabbi Yehuda are studying Torah one night. So why do we need to know the time of day? Night is the absence of light. So it's a dark moment. It's a dark period of time. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were, but it's a dark period of time. And it's just a reminder to all of us that when we are experiencing our challenges and our moments where we feel like there's an absence of light, the light is there. The light's always there. That darkness is giving us an opportunity for growth. It's giving us an opportunity to develop a greater desire to receive for the sake of sharing. How does that work? Because if everything's going well, I don't have this, everything's good, what do I got to do? That darkness is there to give us something to do, to remind us we're not done. And that's what this realm is. Light and darkness every day, count on it. And I'm not referring to just the sunrise and sunset. It's the nature of our day, ups and downs. And coming from a Cancerian, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it looks like it doesn't affect me, but it does. It affects all of us. So what do we do when we're experiencing that darkness? Well, I'll tell you what Rabbi Yehuda do. They open up the Zohar. We should do the same thing. Just open the Zohar, just read a little bit, connect. You are channeling light. I don't see it. I know, but you are. And that's what they do right away. They start to study. What? They're just like, scholars that just like to study scholarly material. No, they're trying to change the world. And let me just say, did they change the world? Well, yeah, because here we are. We're with them right now. We're studying with them. Whatever it is that they study, we're studying it. They took that rock, threw it in the lake, and it created ripples. It's still rippling. It continues to ripple to this very moment. Do you think they know we're studying this? Yes, they know. They're here with us right now. We're just connected to them. Again, it's one world. It's one universe, upper and lower. It's the same. It's like, is there more of an iceberg than is above the surface? Yes, most of it. The vast majority of the iceberg is below the surface. Just like everything we encounter, don't take things at face value. There's always so much more going on. It's like, and it takes a while. I mean, I'm sure we've all had the experience where something was presenting itself and we're thinking, uh-oh, this isn't good. And then it turns out it is good because we we rushed to judgment. We don't know, we don't see. But here we're gaining greater clarity over what's available for us to see. And we want to continue to, it's no different than getting the weather report before we leave the home, we leave home in the morning. Do I need a heavy jacket? Do I need a light jacket? Is it going to rain? Is it going to snow? I want to be prepared spiritually for what I'm going to encounter. I want to see that deeper reality. So I'm better prepared. And giving me the ability, not for just me, but for the world. So I use my desires to receive for sharing. So there's complete synchronicity between what we observe in the upper realm. So I don't even know where to start in all the ways that potentially impacts what's going on in our lives. First of all, you're never alone. You're never alone. Even when you think you are, you're never alone. And every challenge that you experience is there to help you. The light is there in every circumstance. And when it doesn't feel that way, it's because we're looking at things in a very limited way. And it's when it doesn't feel that way, that is the universe assisting us in trying to see that deeper reality. Tammy, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question relates to this, but it goes back to last week. You had said at one point in the discussion last week about why did the 7 years of famine occur? And so my question was, if the 7 years of famine occurred for the purpose of giving the brothers the opportunity for correction, then, and you know, what they were seeing it or not, what about all the other people who were affected by the famine? Were they also, was there also something, I mean, this is something that keeps me up at night, you know, like this whole giant big picture. So like, what about all the other people who were affected by the famine? Did they also have something that they were supposed to
If
learn?
it shows up, if it shows up in your life, it's there for a reason. So yeah, everyone was impacted. The Bible could have told thousands of stories, right? But it doesn't. It tells one story, but it's not happening in isolation. It's happening for the whole world.
So the purpose of the famine wasn't just to provide him the opportunity for correction, or them it was a way to provide an opportunity for the masses.
It gave everyone an opportunity to experience darkness and lack.
I see.
But so then why does this story come in? Is this the creator's favorite story he likes to tell? You know, I say that, I'm like, you know, it sounds ridiculous, right? Is that why it's here? Because the creator's playing favorites? He just likes, he could tune in. The creator, she could tune into millions of stories, but this is the one that the creator likes to stream, and that's why it gets reported in the Bible? No, because the 10 tribes, excuse me, the 12 tribes represent the opportunity to overcome nature, to overcome astral influences. That's why it's the most important story.
Mm.
It's the opportunity to change the world, to exercise our free will, to strengthen our desire to receive for the sake of sharing, and not be so all consumed with the desire to receive for the self, with body consciousness. The reason why it's the story that's reported and we're still talking about it today is because it still remains in a timeless fashion, the opportunity for us to overcome our self-centered natures, our egocentric desires, our body consciousness. It gives us the opportunity to manifest our souls, which is hard because I got this rental car here. It keeps getting in the way. I want to drive 100 miles an hour, and this one only goes up to 75. Or I want to manifest, you know, a liter, and I got this like 12-ounce cup here. How am I expanding my vessel? Famine, darkness, lack, loneliness, whatever. It's a great question there. But didn't the famine end? Well, it's just replaced by something else. We still have famine, and we still have people that are going hungry in this world. Ron, do you have a question?
I just have a burning comment that it's been coming up for me, and it's something that Michael said when we were doing the last study of finishing
Vayigash.
Vayigash, yeah.
Which, by the way, we're going back to next week, because next week is Vayigash.
Look at that. And he said, learn to appreciate the darkness. And I was like, what? And that's been like for me, that's just been kind of lingering. I'm like, wow, appreciate the darkness.
Right? What do you mean appreciate the darkness? You know, I was outside kind of late last night, and you know, for a few moments I was overcome with this feeling of just comfort. Like I just was able to connect this whole stillness within the darkness. You know, that's one thing I think is important. I mean, we all have that from time to time. Now, the darkness grant is probably better sitting out in front of like a fire pit, you know, in the summer, looking at the summer sky. no mosquitoes. You know, I mean, there are times we're out in the dark, literally outside at night, and it's just very chilled and very comfortable. And there are times when we're in the darkness and it's a little anxiety producing or just uncomfortable. When we are uncomfortable, that is physical. That's a physical experience. Your soul is not uncomfortable. Your soul is embracing the darkness. Your soul, you're saying, pause, what a pleasure in the darkness, because your soul is saying, this is what I came here to experience. I came here to experience this darkness so I could do my work.
Yeah, it was like, it's an opportunity, right, for your soul, like for you to expand and go to the next, like whatever you need to go to the next level for.
Right. And so part of what we're shifting in terms of consciousness is our perception of the challenges that we encounter. Because we're growing from those challenges. Like, here's another opportunity for growth. I mean, it sounds so cheesy. Oh, here's another, what, you see what's going on? You want to call this opportunity for growth? I'm like, you know, we can't all handle that all the time. It's a great point. Tammy, is your hand still up? No? Okay. All right. So
Oh, no, it
yes,
wasn't,
it
but
wasn't.
I forgot to lower it, but I just wanted to make one other comment on what Ron just said, was that it's like in the darkness is when we're given all of our opportunities, our lessons. You know, it's like when we're in the light, everything's like, oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
And then when we're in the dark is when all of the lessons come, all the learnings, all the challenges. From out of that will come the growth.
Right. And just to bring it full
Part of
circle, put yourself in Judah's shoes. I promised my dad I would protect Benjamin, my youngest brother. And the reason why it's so important to my dad is because Benjamin's older brother, Joseph, is gone. And so I promised him I would protect him. And now he's faced with a life and death situation. Joseph's like, hey, you guys go home. I'll keep this guy in prison. That's all right. You go, you're fine. And he's like, no, he can't do that. That's what this week's all about. He's in a dark place. He thinks they'll all be dead if he confronts the viceroy of the most powerful nation on the planet at the time. He thinks he's a dead man, or he thinks the light's with him, but maybe he's not 100% sure. And the moment he does that, that's it. What was Joseph doing? Rocky, why didn't Joseph tell them he was their brother? Hey guys, it's me. He had to restrict. He couldn't tell them. You have to imagine it was killing him. And you see in the reading we're going to do tomorrow, when Judah, in the darkest of places, thinks it's his life on the line, and all his brothers for that matter, because he's about to tick off the viceroy of Egypt. With 1 second, he does, you know, he shakes his head and they come over, they chop their heads off. I mean, I don't know. They're literally on the chopping block. The moment he leans in, Judah leans in and says no, Joseph realizes his job is done. He doesn't restrict anymore. Judah's done his correction. He says, guys, it's me, it's Joseph. You're fine, don't worry. It's like, what? So in that moment of the deepest darkness, where, hey, Judah could have just gotten out of town, he doesn't. He doesn't give up. He takes it one more step and everything reverses. And so that's, you know, so the thing, our takeaway from here is like, we have to continue to do our work. We don't know at what point the energy will literally shift. So it's important to do a self-check to see where our agenda is on this, to see that we are receiving, our desire is aligned with receiving for the sake of sharing. And when we do that, we are like the Creator. We create all kinds of openings of channels to the upper realm, which we're connected to anyhow. And that's why any challenge, any lack, any blessing that we're looking for is always just slightly one step away. It could change in an instant, anything. All right, we're out of time, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us. Have an awesome week. Love you all. Shabbat shalom.
Thank
Shabbat
you.
shalom.
Thank you.
Shabbat
Thank
shalom.
you.
Happy
Bye.
New Year.
Bye-bye.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Shalom.
Shalom.